for taking part and building your startups over the weekend. I think it's been pretty exciting. As you can see, we've got, you've probably all seen some of the prizes before. Just to go through what we're going to be giving out to the winners and some of the participants for their efforts this weekend. We've got Switch Marketing is providing a free 60-second animated video, which maybe doesn't sound like much, but actually it's an unbelievable prize. It's valued at about $14,000, so something that most startups actually can't do. And the value of that prize is really helping you to explain what it is you do in a really easy way for people to understand the value of what you're going to provide. And you've probably seen it on Twitter, Google, Microsoft. Big companies like that are using these types of videos to get their message out in a simple way, and Switch Marketing is doing a great job doing that. They also actually do common craft videos, so that's a great prize. We're pretty excited about that. We've got the Ryerson Angel Network is actually kicking in with $500 for the winning team, and I'm going to bring up some folks to talk a little bit more about Ryerson and that program. But we really appreciate their sponsorship in this. We've got Cobalt, who I'm not sure if they're in the room actually right now, because I was out late with a couple of them last night, so they might not have been. They've really kicked in quite a bit for this event, both just in helping out, making some connections for me and the other organizers throughout, but they're also providing a great prize, which is $2,000 in legal services to the winning team. And of course, that's something that can really help when you're starting out. But they also have a venture program, and they're going to fast track the winning team into their venture program to review and see if they want to work together. So that's exciting. We've got Extreme Venture Partners, which many of you have probably heard of at Extreme University. The winning team will also be fast tracked into the sort of final round for their review into the next cohort for Extreme U. So that's very exciting. Intelligent Office, who have been around for a good chunk of the weekend. Startups need places to meet, they need places to bring clients, but they probably don't want to spend a lot of money on office space right away. So Intelligent Office is there to offer some great services. The winning team will get 25 hours of office space, and all that information is on the web. The second and third place teams will get 10 hours each, so easy to keep going after this weekend. That's the idea. Don't just stop. What else do we have? We've got Ripple has kicked in, and they supported us financially for this, but they've also offered up a mentoring meal, and they've got a couple of great co-founders there that have done some amazing stuff in the startup community in Toronto. So that's a really valuable thing to do. Go out for a meal with some people who have been in the trenches and know what they're doing. We've got Rogers Ventures is on there. They've also kicked in a lot financially for this event, but they're also giving away some prizes. We're going to do a raffle today. Actually, we'll do two raffles. One raffle here for a couple of BlackBerry Bolds, and when the next meal starts, we'll give out some raffle tickets. We'll do that here. We're doing another raffle at the party afterwards, which hopefully is incentive for some of you to come out to that party. Because we think it'll be good, even though it's been a long weekend. We're giving away an iPad and an Android device through a raffle at that one, so it's pretty interesting stuff and a good reason to come out and have some more drinks. Another thing we've got on here is, this one's an interesting one, Mid-Ventures launch. The timing's a bit tricky, but they've offered up a prize for Startup Weekend globally for the winners to actually get immediate entry into their competition, which unfortunately starts tomorrow in Chicago. But the flip side is you've actually been prepping your stuff all weekend, so you're pretty ready to go. And all you have to do is grab a ticket or hop in the car for 8 hours and get yourself to Chicago. So you might as well just extend the weekend if you win and just go for it. It's a big startup competition for representing the Midwest, and it seems we sort of fall into the Midwest in that case. So it's not bad. If that happens and you are interested, come talk to me or Mark, and we'll figure out how that can work and make it happen. And I think that covers the last thing, which is not totally defined, but we have some additional funds left over from this weekend. We're not totally sure yet until we balance the books, but we're going to support the first and second place teams by providing a smaller amount of money on a monthly basis, because the point is we want you to keep going and we want to help with some of those costs along the way. So we're looking to do sort of $150 for the winning team and $100 for the second place team monthly for as long as we can. That can help with hosting costs, if you're using Intelligent Office, something like that, those sorts of things, and we'll work out some milestones so that you show that you're making progress and going forward, and that's what we're looking to do. So a pretty good list of prizes that when you put them all together are upwards of $25,000 in value. So hopefully you appreciate that, but it's not really about the prizes. It's about building some cool stuff over the weekend. So next, I'm actually going to bring up Ahmed, because Ahmed has been one of the co-organizers and hasn't really had a chance to come up and say anything to this group, but has been a very important part of making this all happen. So he's going to say a few words.
Okay. Firstly, this has been a great weekend. We've seen some really cool ideas, and the energy has been incredible. And just walking around, watching you guys do work, I'm really excited to see how much you've accomplished in just 2 days. And hopefully if you continue and just imagine doing how much you're doing every day for a few months or a year, and how much you could accomplish as a startup. Because statistically, 10% of you are either going to get funded or you're going to make revenue. And 36% of you, or 36% of the ideas are going to be alive 3 months from now. And to tell you a bit about how I sort of fell into this, I moved back to Toronto in May after living in Seattle for 3.5 years. And while I was in the US, I'd see startup weekends happening all over the US and all over the world. And so, just like Chris, I sent out a tweet saying, why don't we have a startup weekend in Toronto? And within hours, I was in a conference call with Mark and Chris. And although, doing a startup and working on this event hasn't been ideal for my sleep schedule, I think it was really important to have such an event here, because I think we've got a great startup ecosystem. We have all the elements for a good startup ecosystem. We have the entrepreneurs. It's you guys who've put in all your weekend working on a startup idea. We have the investors. They're going to be judging you in a bit. And we've got great support from the community. We've got, you've seen the list of our speakers, our sponsors, our partners. And through the weekend, I was also talking to a few people, how does Startup Weekend in Toronto do compared to Startup Weekend around the world? And the feedback that I got was, the ideas that we've had here are on par with what happens in the major US cities, New York and Boston. So we've got the talent here. And congrats on how much you've done so far, and I'm really looking forward to your demos and pitches. Thank you.
All right, I'll just explain the voting process before we get in here again, and we'll kick off right with the first presentation. If whoever the first team is wants to go ahead and send one person. Okay, never mind. Sorry. After that, then we'll have you come up early. The voting process, we're going to be having, again, a community vote that's going to count for 60% of the overall vote. We will be awarding the top 3 teams from the overall vote. And then 40% is going to be determined by the judges. Again, the categories, they have these nifty little voting forms that they're going to be filling out. They're going to be looking at the team dynamic. How much fun did you guys have? How well did you work together? Did you have the right type of skill sets on the team for the jobs that you were doing? The viability, do you have an idea that's something that you can actually get out there and it has the chance to live on for a little while? Innovation, how out of the box is this? Is this really going to be disruptive to some kind of models that are already existing out there? And then breakthrough potential, is it going to be viral? Are you going to go out and launch it and you're going to be having over 1 million social media impressions in the first week? Just so you know, we've had over 12 teams that have hit those metrics, so it's fully possible. Again, congratulations, and I'm going to hand it over to Karthik. Any questions on the voting? We'll kind of be walking everybody through it too as we go here. So, all right.
Hey guys, actually just before I start, I'm just wondering, I was just thinking right now, how many of you didn't know anybody on your team before you came here? You just raise hands. Holy crap. So the reason I brought that up is because it's just an interesting thing that I've been thinking over the weekend, where we've been talking about these prizes and all these fantastic sponsors that have come up and decided to fund and essentially help these startups that are created. And what I was talking about with everybody that I met was that it's really interesting, because for someone like me, who doesn't know how to code, to meet a developer that I can actually rely on for the near future to actually build my company outside of this weekend is so valuable. And the reason I brought that up is because beside the whole sponsorship and beside all the prizes, it's so cool and it's so fantastic to see everybody build those relationships and really learn and develop those resources with each other, and essentially take the entire weekend to learn. And what that essentially brings me up to is that I want to take a quick second to thank all the Ryerson sponsors, especially Startmeup, who have hosted this entire event, that have essentially run the entire logistics and make sure that everybody got fed on time and everybody was essentially, yeah, absolutely. And everybody's internet worked today, right? Woo! Yeah, okay, good. Take that, CCS. So essentially what I want to do is take a quick chance to thank everybody. And one thing that I'd like to bring up is, in terms of developing these resources and developing these essential knowledge banks, Mark spoke about it. Mark, raise your hand for a quick second. Mark's the director of Startmeup. He mentioned this on Friday about startmeup.ryerson.com. It's an entrepreneurial knowledge bank. What does that mean? It means that any entrepreneur out there can go online and put their resources on there so that they can share it with their network, so that they can reach out to whoever they want, whenever they want, wherever they want, and learn what they need to. So it would be really cool to have everybody here talk about their story online, talk about what they learned, talk about anything, any resources they got, because what that essentially means is that the next time that happens, we have a set of resources that already help you start. And we have a set of resources that let you continue outside the weekend. So that's one thing that I did want to mention, because we just launched it. We're super excited about it. I just noticed that my voice was going in and out. We're super excited about it, but please do go online, and if you want to talk to Mark about joining Startmeup to add on as a resource, please do that. And I believe Chris K will be coming up shortly to talk about Moran.
Hey everybody. So hi, I'm Chris. I'm the group manager of the Ryerson Angel Network, and I believe that some of you know me from around this weekend. I've been talking to some of you, finding what you guys have been working on. Some of you may know me from Startup Drinks and Demo Camp and what have you, and that's cool too. But if you don't know me and you don't know what the Ryerson Angel Network does, I want to talk to you about it and let you know. RAND is actually one of the resources that's available to you, and just mirroring one of the comments from Mark and Chris on Friday, there's some really great resources here at Ryerson. And RAND kind of takes these resources and capitalizes on them. So the RAND is the Angel Network here. And, oh, there we go. First of all, we're a little bit different than other angel groups. We're the only university-led angel group in Canada. Right off the bat, something different. Our mandate is focused directly to youth-based entrepreneurs. So what we define as management teams are between the 18 to kind of 35 category. And a lot of these teams, come somewhat of unproven teams. Some of you guys come together today, as you said, for the first time. And sometimes, it's kind of hard to get backing, sometimes kind of hard to get traction. And we are very interested in talking to these types of teams. We do a lot of work with some of the other post-secondary institutions, taking care of the funding for the ventures coming out of their entrepreneurial programs at the other institutions. I'll tell you a little bit why we're different, and that's mainly the benefits to you guys. So the companies that apply to RAND, there's three things that we provide. Right off the bat, the obvious one, angel funding, right? That's easy. But there's also the resources and there's the mentorship. And the resources specifically is we're able to help some of the companies that come through us, do their loans and the grants for, say, OCE or the Investment Accelerator Fund, right, are great examples. So actually one of the companies that came to us previously, we were helping them to put together their applications for those. So it's another source of funding. Another thing is mentorship, and that's probably one of the biggest ones other than the actual cash. Our angels are very, very interested in passing on their wealth of knowledge onto the next generation of entrepreneurs. They come to us specifically because they're looking for a specific type of deal. They're looking for youth-based entrepreneurs who have, that they need this backing, they need this coaching, they want to learn from experienced entrepreneurs, and they want coaching, they're open to it. And our guys are really, really supportive and very interested in working with youth based businesses. And then obviously the basic or the obvious part is the funding. So we've closed 2 deals so far, in aggregate of $600,000, and we've been around for about 2 years. So we are working on deals, and we're always interested in looking for more deals. I've been touring around this weekend talking to you guys, and I'm really interested and exciting to see your pitches today, and I kind of got an idea where some of you guys are, and I'm really excited to see what's happening in the last day and a half or so. And just on a side note, I just have to say that this is an amazing event. I really have to give props to you guys that are putting this event together. I was not too sure about the concept when I first heard about it. I said, people are going to pay to come to Ryerson to code for the weekend in our cafeteria, right? And everybody's like, yeah. I said, oh, okay, cool. And then I got here and I was like, wow, this is awesome. You know, there's some really great atmosphere going on. You guys are all extremely talented people, and watching you come together literally in the course of about 30 minutes, forming teams and getting to know each other and just putting your noses down and putting together some really cool technology. I'm really impressed, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are up to. So, if you guys have any more questions, oh sorry, I've got one more slide, I forgot about that. If you guys are interested in raising angel capital and you're interested in coming to talk to us, here's our process. So it starts with a basic application on AngelSoft. Essentially, it's an executive summary. It's very easy to put together. The companies that are approved and we want to talk to, we'll invite you to come into a screening meeting, so a 10-minute presentation. And then the companies that are approved from there, we ask to come to our investment meeting where you have a chance to pitch to all of our angel investors. We have 30 guys on our panel, and that's actually where you're going to pitch for cash. From there, if there's interest, go into negotiations, due diligence, and term sheets. So if you have any questions, please get in contact with me. I'd be happy to talk to you. Of course, I'll be talking to you guys for the rest of the day and hopefully at the after party tonight. And I'd be happy to see what you guys are working on. And if you have any more questions about RAND, let me know. Thanks.
All right, while I introduce our judging panel, can the first team come up and actually set up your laptop so we can get moving? This will be the sort of most painful part of the process, is the transition between laptops. But because of what we're actually presenting, we can't just put it all on one, right? So we've brought a judging panel here tonight, and some of you might have already met them because they've been wandering around and talking to you guys, seeing what you're working on. But I want to introduce them formally and thank them for coming out. We thought it was important to try and put a judging panel together that was made up of people sort of more from the investment community. You've had a lot of speakers so far that are successful entrepreneurs, and that doesn't mean that they're not successful entrepreneurs, but at the moment, or they are on the investment side. And while they might not invest in you right now, they will put that sort of lens over their review of what you're doing. But remember, you're actually speaking to everyone here, so they're just sort of informally here at the front. So starting off, we've got Elizabeth Cayley from Extreme Venture Partners. Elizabeth has a deep background in product management, and which I think, as a product manager myself, it's a great background to have when you're looking at both the products and ideas that you're coming up with, but also the business models and the team that you're putting together. So Elizabeth is working with a pretty exciting fund and group of people at Extreme right now. We've got Stephen Gideon, who is a longtime entrepreneur and venture capitalist that is also the lead professor behind Ryerson Entrepreneurship Institute that really sort of works with all these groups you've heard about over the course of this weekend, like Startmeup, like RAND. So great to have Stephen here. Yeah, whose background is that? What is it you want in life? We've got Matt Leibowitz from Best Funds. Again, a local investor in this community, and one that you should be talking to. Also has a deep background on the private equity side and working on transactions and M&A activity for startups. And last but not least, we've got Brian Kobus from Summerhill Venture Partners, another local venture capital firm here. And Brian, again, also has a background, came from Bell Canada on the M&A side there, and a background in investment banking with Morgan Stanley. So, great group of people to have. Why don't we all give them a round of applause for coming out. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our first team. I don't even know who the first team is. N2O, all right. Who's your, first we know who your speaker is.
Don't say that like it's a bad thing. You know, before I get started, I want to do something that only a professor could do. I want to thank the students who you haven't heard a lot about. Susan and Diana, Karthik and Mark, Chris K and Chris C, Curtis and Deborah, Nahal and Lou. Can we give a hand to the people who you haven't heard from? As a professor in the entrepreneurship faculty, we're very lucky to have such great students, and I'm glad that you're all appreciating them as well. In addition to my work as a professor at the Ted Rogers School, I sit on the board of the Hospital for Sick Kids. And as a result, I have a first-hand knowledge of some of the problems that medical people are dealing with in the pediatric space. So for most of you, you know that a second opinion comes from a patient who wants a doctor to tell them a second opinion. But often doctors get second opinions. They call that disambiguation, or removing the ambiguity. And so what we thought about was, how do you connect doctors who are not geographically close? How do you connect doctors in regions where they need a second opinion from another doctor, but there isn't another doctor? So what kind of problem are we addressing? Well, first and foremost, there's a couple of stats that we wanted to share. While we live in a fabulous country with 1 in 500 doctors, lots of places in Africa have 1 in 50,000. So those doctors can barely handle primary care, let alone running around giving second opinions. So where do these doctors go for second opinions? We know that all doctors rely on second opinion. We actually called a dozen this morning just to confirm how often they do it. It is the #1 resource for diagnostic. Not a book, not a computer, another person who deals in your field. 78% of physicians report, even though that's their main tool for diagnosis, they're having trouble doing it over technology. And I don't think that's required anymore. I think with the movement of things in the technology space, we'll be able to fix that. So N2O stands for Need Second Opinion. We've built an iPhone app, and we've actually built it over this weekend, having not met each other before Friday. I'm going to let my colleague and former student hand out the one-pagers to the judges. But basically, it is to bring, through the iPhone FaceTime application, a doctor in an emergency setting with another doctor. So of course, there's all sorts of regulatory issues. To deal with that, we're going to be signing a joint venture with the Hospital for Sick Kids, and this morning I confirmed we're meeting with them on Tuesday to close the deal. So we've already moved the product both forward on a business side and on an app side, and that's what happens when you have a great team. There are people doing similar things. Telehealth, of course, in Canada, is nurses to patients, right? Cleveland Clinic does this, doctor to doctor, and they charge $1,500. None of them do emergency on-demand care. Yet all the doctors want to be doctors without borders, without the dysentery, without the kidnapping, without the threats to life and limb. Imagine you could go home and instead of checking in at Foursquare, you could check in to be on call. Well, now you can't. And you're going to be able to do it for the app. This is the whole product. It doesn't get more complicated. We don't own FaceTime. What we've created is a way for you to put up your credentials, check with a trusted source to ensure you are who you say you are and you are the doctor on call. Do the opposite on the other end, and use an algorithm to hook them together. Who has the most experience in this field? Who has the highest ratings after these calls? How do we get people so that we don't cut off legs when you don't have to? On June 12th of this year, a doctor in California was about to do that. Was about to cut off someone's leg. But instead, he used FaceTime to call another colleague and show him in real time what the issue was. They found out they had the wrong diagnosis, the leg was saved, the patient was saved. But that only works if you know who to call. This works if you don't know who to call. Let's see it in action. Julian, will you show us our award-winning commercial? That's Dr. One. Is there a volume?
Yeah, plug it in. Sean's quiet at the start.
It's quiet at the start, okay. So, I'm getting word from the control booth, it's quiet at the start. Well, you see a doctor here, a young doctor, helping another young doctor. The second doctor is getting the call. He's able to choose that he's looking for an emergency person. He's able to choose a specialty. He's able to choose the level of urgency. And the system does the rest. It queues people up based on expertise, based on years of experience, based on ratings, and the other doctor's phone simply rings. Now, there are regulatory issues, but this is a doctor to another doctor. The final doctor, the one who's actually doing the treatment, is still solely responsible. All this is giving them another source of information. This commercial, which I'm sure will win lots of awards, is way better with sound. Until then, you'll have to imagine it. Wow, that was wonderful. I've saved the child. Thank you for your help. My kung fu is good. Doctor to doctor. Doctors helping doctors save life. So we only have one more slide, and I realize that we're way over time, but this is to save the children. So what we have on our list next is, obviously, we gotta make sure the registration system is flawless. The number one thing, according to the AMA, is trust. You have to, if you don't know the person, you need a third party to validate that person. We also want to make sure we test for scalability. This isn't going to handle one call at a time in the office at TRSM. This is going to handle thousands of calls simultaneous. We have to learn to scale that. Now, lucky, the group we're working with, the Hospital for Sick Kids, has 32 developers who do this sort of thing. So they're going to be helping us take that. We also want to establish a relationship with the CMA, because we would like to, and our goal and our commitment to everyone in this room is to have this working as a pilot in Canada by December 31st of this year. Why Canada? Hospital for Sick Kids, the Canadian Medical Association, tight relationship. And by the way, we have our own problems. Northwest Territories, the Yukon, Nunavut. We have First Nations people who suffer because they don't have access to it. We fly in a doctor, but only one doctor goes. What does that doctor do when he needs a second opinion? Hopefully, D to D, doctor to doctors, saving lives will be that. So we hope, with your support, with your continued faith in us, we will deliver that. We do think there's a business here. We're not going to charge for the app. We want to just really just save children. We think that there's options, though. Non-emergency consultation, which is a doctor's bread and butter. They get paid $1,500 for giving a second opinion in a non-emergency, non-healthcare, like a dermatologist issue or reading in a radiology. We think there's also the opportunity to white label for executive support. Hey, man. And I think that all of that is going to make this a winning application, and with your help, we're number one, we're group number 10, and I'd like to first turn to my group, most of whom I've never worked, and say thank you for a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much, and good luck with your pitches. I don't think they're going to let us do questions, but I'm happy to take them. I don't want to screw up everyone's.
My first question is, I've got a bit of a background in working with a lot of doctors. My wife being one and my father-in-law both being emergency doctors. So I actually get this, and this is a problem that they actually deal with on a daily basis. I think what's a very unique aspect of it is actually trying to connect with insurance companies by reducing liabilities. Because that's something that what they want, all doctors want to do is see why they're covering their asses.
Absolutely. You think the whole litigation issue is going to be right foremost in most people's minds. And we're lucky that the hospital has a risk-averse legal counsel that'll work through it with us. It may be one of those, what they call in law, a Headley Burn disclaimer. This is not advice. You can't take it as advice. We're just being nice to you. Or click here to agree we won't sue you. But there are levels that have to be dealt with, and we're not sophisticated in 24 hours to figure that all out. And hopefully we'll start that process on Tuesday. Well, that's a great question. Thank you. Dr. Gideon.
I'd be happy to connect you with some insurance companies for sponsorship to pay for hosting and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
My question is, though, specifically trying to rate you on breakthrough potential virality, I guess. How do you achieve viral status?
I think that's an awesome question, Steve. Thank you. So how do you get this viral? How do you get people to even hear about it? Because we can't afford commercials. Well, I have a friend, and that friend works in Silicon Valley for Apple marketing, and we're hoping, with their help, to do a commercial about it with their money, so that they can show how FaceTime saves lives. But I'm more than that. When we called these 12 doctors, they all wanted to know when they could tell their friends it was ready. We think it'll take off on a ground up level, not a top down. We don't think getting the Ministry of Health to bless it is the way to go. We think to get 10,000 doctors to use it and say, fix the rules and say we can't, is the way to go. We've tried to fix global healthcare top down. It's time for us to do it bottom up and take it back to people who really need it.
This weekend, we got the opportunity to build an awesome product called Easy Hiring. According to Stats Canada, the summer of 2010 was a little bit rough for students aged 15 to 24. They worked on average about 24 hours a week, and that was the lowest level since 1977. To add on it, 17% of the students seeking employment didn't find employment, and that's 4% higher than the summer of 2008, prior to the recession. And this is where Easy Hiring is coming in. We're looking to help students find a better way to connect with employers, and employers find a better way to connect with students.
I've been a software developer for some time, and I've used many job sites, as I'm sure most of you have, but I'm personally not very satisfied with the way that they work. I find them cumbersome, and I think many employers find them the same way. So our idea here is to build on the efforts of previous companies that have used visualization techniques to simplify the hiring process. So we've got one example of a visualization technique, and we have many other ideas which we plan to implement down the road.
Okay. Before I'm gonna show you guys the demo here, I want to let you guys know that the 17% of students that didn't find a job, it's about 419,000 people in Canada alone. And those students that actually found a job, it's actually 1.2 million. So let's just go through our demo here. Let's say I'm an employer and I just want to post a job. I'll go here. I'll select what kind of job posting I have, like e-commerce, arts and media maybe. I want to select full-time, part-time, how many hours I want it to work minimum, let's say 25. I could select the posting day, when I want that person to start, and what salary I want that person to have. Once that information gets filled out, I will populate on our map here, and you can see a few for job candidates looking actively for a job. And we have here Jim. You can see a short bio of him, has 8 years of sales experience. And you can click on this link and you can go to his resume. Now, if you like his resume and you think it's a good fit with the company, you can go ahead and give him a call. Now, this works in the US, it's coming out to Canada, so we'll have to wait for that for a bit. Now, let's say I'm Jim now, and I'm looking to get a job. I'll just fill out this information with the information required, and then I'll submit it. I'll show up on the map here, and I'll see here in Toronto. Probably want to work 2 cases and as a waiter. And I'll just go in it on the link, and I'm right to their website. Now we thought about how we could make money with this opportunity. There are a few opportunities out there. We'd like to build that product and target it towards companies, something similar that Leo does, and provide a customized experience to the companies. The other opportunity that's bigger is to license this product to Monster.com, Workopolis, where they have the whole distribution network set up, and they could help us get into the US market as well. So that's our product today, and we'd like to thank everybody for giving us the chance to present. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take any questions you guys might have. Yes, we actually saw that Jobloft had a successful exit about 3 years ago in October 2007. From my understanding, they sold it for a few $1 million to on-target jobs. Now, the way I saw that is I went to on-target jobs, click on Jobloft, it's not there anymore. So they probably took that algorithm that they developed and either headed for a strategic defensive reason to take them out of the marketplace, or they incorporate into their product. But when you go on Target website, you don't see that they have any mapping capability. So you can clearly see that they wanted to just take them off the market. So we think that 3 years later, with the development tools that we have, we can build something better, and you can have different skill sets filtered on a map for different type of employers. Now, we decided to go after the students market because it has a high turnover rate, and they're usually looking for jobs in retail space, customer service, so they're very active on that. But that's one of the markets that we're initially looking to target. Later on, there's another market, but let's just start with this one.
Yeah, that's good. JobLoft focused on the same thing, student market. And they were on Dragon's Den,
Yes.
successfully acquired. And just take a look at Job Compass, which has an iPhone app, like Yelp, location-based. There's a couple others out there that you want to take a look at.
Thank you. Do you guys have any other questions?
Yeah, I guess I'll make a comment about the JobLoft thing. They weren't acquired because of their technology, right? They were acquired because of their customer base. They were acquired because of the number of part-time restaurant industry customers that they had. So,
They're targeting the hospitality.
exactly, yeah, the hospitality people. So, you know, if you think that Monster is going to acquire you because of an application that you're capable of building over a 50-hour period over a weekend, that's a very different thing than saying somebody else was acquired, very little to do with the tech. It was actually because of their customer base. So you got to kind of sort of get up and grow and get the revenues and build the business. It's not just, hey, we got a cool thing, buy us, license our product.
Well, we're of course not licensed over 54 hours. This will take a few months.
Yeah, but still, the licensing thing strikes me as not a realistic expectation. It's the customers that they want.
Thanks, everybody.
Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Fabulous. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Alyssa, and I'm going to be presenting on behalf of the RateHub.ca team. So just to introduce, we're the team sitting at the back. We were blessed to have 3 very talented coders. Three extremely creative marketers, and as well a invaluable designer that we could not have lived without. So we're going to get started by very basically outlining the pain, the solution, and what we see as the very clear benefit to RateHub.ca. So how many of you guys out there have ever purchased a home? A large number of you guys. And it can actually be pretty fun. To start the shopping process, you get to find your dream home, but what's a lot less sexy is the actual mortgage process. And it's something that everyone has to go through, and they have to make a lot of decisions along the way. One of the biggest is, should I choose a variable mortgage or a fixed mortgage? As well, there's a lack of transparency in the market. So currently, for example, banks advertise their posted rates, but many informed customers know that if they do some research and get competitive offers, they can actually negotiate that rate down. And finally, current advice can often be biased. So obviously, mortgage brokers have some incentive. They'd like to sell you the product, so there can be some biased advice. So what we've worked on today is the RateHub.ca virtual mortgage broker tool. And what it is it's a dynamic tool that, based on some of your unique inputs, such as your income and your monthly budget constraints and things like that, it dynamically walks through the mortgage decision process. And the major benefit, it saves a lot of time and headache. You get to do this research while sitting in your house. It's tailored advice specifically to you, empowers the consumer through education, and ultimately allows them to save thousands. All right, so the mortgage market is big in that we know that as a startup, we're going to have to look for a very focused segment. And that's why we've chosen the first-time home buyer segment. There's a lot of market research done on this group, and everything points to the fact that this group is looking to be informed on their decisions, and they're using the internet as a tool. So obviously everyone in this room knows the power of the web, but we're going to look at some numbers really to drill this home. So the recent survey found that 90% of first-time homebuyers are using the internet as a tool. And let's look at what they're doing with that. 84% are researching different terms and conditions. 71% are comparing the different costs of interest rate decisions. And finally, 65% are checking for competitive interest rates. So this, again, led to our decision to create a scenario-based tool. One of the most obvious questions will be, what about the competition? What are they currently doing? And in this size of a market, we cannot ignore that. So we've brought up some examples. So this is the TD solution to choosing the right mortgage. And if you stay long enough to read it, you will find that it's a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of text, and people just don't spend the time looking at this type of solution. If we switch to one of the most visited online brokerage sites on the web, again, a very text-based solution, and this is the first-time mortgage FAQ section. Okay, so now that you've seen some of the offerings in the market, we're going to walk through the tool that we spent some time starting to think through this weekend. Okay, great. So this targeted landing page, you would see that you have a few options, and your first option would really target the purchasers, okay? It would identify some of the things they're looking to do. You know, they need to figure out how much they can afford, they need to figure out their monthly payment, and obviously another important question, variable versus fixed. So let's get started. Great. So again, along the top, we're going to clearly walk them through the decision process that they have to go to and outline the decisions that will help them make along the way. So the first, if we plug in the annual income, that's what's left? Great. The monthly expenses from credit card, etc., living expenses. And it allows them to calculate the total amount they can afford, and they'd have options to vary their down payment. Then the next step is they would go on to looking at the different rate type. So again, one of the most important decisions, variable versus fixed, and this would blow out how their monthly payment would vary based on that, with options to show more rates.